Did you know that in 2025, over 120,000 people are expected to leave Australia? Not for vacation, but for good. That's right. Families, skilled workers, even students are packing their bags and saying goodbye to the lucky country. Why? Is it just the rising cost of living, or is there something deeper going on? From soaring house prices to silent government rules, from climate fears to a broken health system, people are quietly reaching their limit. Australia, once a dream destination, might now be turning into a place people are desperate to escape. In this video, we're breaking down 10 powerful reasons, or should we say rules, pushing people out of the country in 2025. Some of these may shock you, others might hit closer to home than you'd expect. So stick around. The full picture is more surprising than you think.
Number 1. The cost of living crisis.
Australia is now one of the most expensive countries to live in, and in 2025, that's no exaggeration. Whether you're buying groceries, filling up your car, or simply paying rent, prices have skyrocketed. A loaf of bread that once cost $2 now goes for over $5 in some cities. Petrol prices have crossed $2.30 per liter, and rent in major cities like Sydney and Melbourne is now consuming over 50–60% of the average monthly income. For many Australians, this isn't just uncomfortable, it's unsustainable. Even people with stable jobs are feeling the pinch. Middle-class families are cutting back on essentials. Some are working multiple jobs just to stay afloat. Young Australians especially are losing hope, unable to save, unable to buy a home, and constantly chasing bills. What's behind it all? Inflation, global supply chain issues, rising interest rates, and stagnant wages are part of the puzzle. But local factors like poor housing supply, increasing energy prices, and a lack of targeted government support are making things worse. And while the government talks about economic recovery, everyday Australians are still asking, recovery for who? This growing pressure is pushing thousands to look overseas for relief. Countries where their money stretches further, and where a basic lifestyle doesn't come with constant financial stress. Could this crisis be the tipping point that changes Australia's population forever? Or is it just the beginning of a larger economic shift? We're just getting started, and the next reason people are leaving might be even more personal.
Number 2. Worsening housing affordability. Owning a home in Australia has gone from a milestone to a fantasy, especially for younger generations. In 2025, the median house price in Sydney is over $1.3 million, while in Melbourne, it's not far behind. For many first-time buyers, the deposit alone could take 10 to 15 years to save, even with a full-time job. And that's if they don't touch that money for anything else. Not rent, not food, not emergencies. Sound unrealistic? That's because it is. Australia's housing market has become a playground for investors and a nightmare for everyday people. As foreign buyers and wealthy investors scoop up properties, average Australians are priced out. Many are forced to rent indefinitely, and even that isn't cheap. Rental bidding wars have become common in capital cities, leaving people scrambling just to find a roof over their heads. But this isn't just about high prices. It's about what those prices represent: lost dreams, frustration, and the slow disappearance of the Australian dream. The belief that if you worked hard, you could one day own a home, raise a family, and build a future. That's slipping away. So what are people doing? They're leaving. Countries like Portugal, Spain, and parts of Southeast Asia are attracting Australians who want more for less, where you can buy a home, live comfortably, and not drown in debt. This shift isn't just about escaping high prices. It's about escaping a future that no longer feels possible at home. And as more people walk away from Australia's housing trap, it raises a serious question. Is the dream still alive? Or has it moved overseas? Coming up next, why people feel less welcome in the country they once called home. We've poured our heart, time, and research into this video. Now we want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments, would you leave Australia? or stay and hope for change. And hey, subscribing takes just one click, but it means everything to us.
Number 3. Immigration backlash and policy shifts.
Australia was once known as one of the most welcoming countries in the world. But in 2025, that reputation is fading fast. People who once saw Australia as a land of opportunity are now questioning whether they still belong here. Over the past few years, visa rules have tightened, processing times have doubled, and requirements have become more complicated. Skilled migrants who were invited to Australia with promises of opportunity are finding themselves stuck in endless paperwork, unclear pathways to permanent residency, and rising uncertainty about their future. For international students, the story isn't much better. Instead of feeling valued, many feel like they're being treated as dollar signs. With higher tuition fees, limited work hours, and increasingly strict visa checks, thousands are choosing Canada, the UK, and parts of Europe instead, places offering smoother pathways and clearer opportunities. But it's not just policies pushing people away. There's also a growing social divide. Public conversations around immigration have become tense, political, and sometimes hostile. Some migrants report feeling judged for their accents, backgrounds, or job titles. Others have said they've stopped feeling safe or welcomed, even after years of living in the country. And the impact? Many skilled workers, healthcare professionals, IT experts, and students people Australia desperately needs are quietly moving elsewhere. They're choosing countries where the system is clearer, the rules make more sense, and the social climate feels more inclusive. Australia isn't just losing migrants, it's losing talent, innovation, and diversity. The big question is, if the people who helped build Australia's modern identity no longer feel wanted, what will the country look like in the next decade? Up next, how climate anxiety and extreme weather are driving even lifelong Australians to leave.
Number 4. Climate anxiety and natural disasters.
Australia is on the front lines of climate change, and in 2025, that reality is becoming impossible to ignore. From devastating bushfires and flash floods to record-breaking heat waves, extreme weather events are no longer rare. They're becoming the norm. Just last summer, entire towns in Queensland were submerged underwater, and thousands were forced to evacuate their homes due to raging fires in New South Wales. But it's not just the disasters themselves. It's the growing fear that this is only the beginning. For many Australians, especially families with young children, climate anxiety is now a daily reality. People are asking themselves tough questions. Will my home survive the next storm? Is it safe to raise a family here? Will insurance even cover me next time? In fact, some insurance companies are already pulling out of high-risk zones or raising premiums so high that residents are left unprotected. And with scientists warning that Australia's climate will only become more volatile, many are deciding not to wait around for the next disaster. They're moving, not just out of flood zones or bushfire-prone regions, but out of the country entirely. Places like New Zealand, Northern Europe, and even parts of Asia are becoming climate havens, offering more stability and peace of mind. It's a quiet migration, but a powerful one. Because when nature turns threatening and the government response feels too slow or too weak, people do what they must: protect their future. And that means leaving behind the beaches, the bush, and even the cities they once loved. Next up, how Australia's struggling healthcare system is pushing even lifelong residents to seek better care abroad.
Number 5. Healthcare system under pressure. Australia's healthcare system was once considered one of the best, but in 2025, the cracks are starting to show. And for many, those cracks are now turning into gaping holes. Public hospitals are overwhelmed. Emergency departments are seeing wait times of up to 12 hours, even for urgent cases. Patients in rural and regional areas are being told to wait months, sometimes over a year, just to see a specialist. And bulk billing? That's becoming harder to find, especially in major cities. It's no longer just an inconvenience. It's a crisis. People with chronic conditions are missing out on timely care. Mental health services are underfunded and overstretched. General practitioners are burning out, retiring early, or refusing to take on new patients due to impossible workloads. What's driving the decline? A mix of underfunding, an aging population, workforce shortages, and growing demand, especially after the pandemic. But while the system struggles to recover, people's trust is disappearing. They're tired of waiting, tired of delays, tired of hearing that things will get better someday. That's why many are looking beyond Australia's borders, not just for treatment, but for entirely new healthcare systems. Countries like Germany, Japan, and even Thailand are becoming attractive for their efficient, affordable, and accessible care. Some Australians are even relocating just to access faster and more reliable medical help, something they once believed was guaranteed at home. It's a tough decision, but when your health, or your family's, is on the line, the choice becomes clear. Is the lucky country still lucky when even basic care feels out of reach? Coming up next, why Australia's job market is no longer working for everyone, especially the skilled professionals it once relied on.
Number 6. Job market saturation and underemployment. Australia's job market might look strong on paper, but behind the numbers, thousands are feeling stuck, underpaid, and overlooked. In 2025, more Australians are working than ever before, but many aren't working in the jobs they trained for. Instead, they're juggling casual shifts, gig economy roles, or part-time positions that barely cover their bills. Graduates with university degrees are delivering food, driving rideshare cars, or taking low-paying retail jobs. Skilled migrants, doctors, engineers, IT experts are working far below their qualifications because local experience or strict licensing rules keep them out of their fields. At the same time, job competition is fierce. Automation, outsourcing, and limited opportunities in certain industries have created a saturated market, especially in urban areas. Even when roles do open up, the pay often doesn't reflect the skill or effort required. The result? A growing feeling of career frustration and wasted potential. It's not that people don't want to work, it's that the system isn't giving them a fair shot. And with remote work now more accepted than ever, many Australians are exploring options overseas or going fully remote from cheaper, more opportunity-rich countries. Digital nomad visas in places like Portugal, Bali, and Mexico are giving people the freedom to work globally, earn better, and live with less financial pressure. It's no longer just about a paycheck. It's about dignity, growth, and work-life balance, things that seem harder to achieve in today's Australian job market. If Australia can't value its talent, that talent will find somewhere else that does. Next up, how remote work and global mobility are giving Australians an easy escape, and why more are taking it than ever before.
Number 7. Remote work and global mobility. The world changed in 2020. And by 2025, remote work isn't a trend anymore. It's a lifestyle. And for many Australians, it's the perfect ticket out. When the pandemic hit, millions discovered they could do their jobs from home or from anywhere. Now, with remote work fully embraced by global companies, location is no longer a barrier to opportunity. And here's the twist. Many Australians are asking, if I can work from my laptop, why stay in one of the world's most expensive countries? The rise of digital nomad visas, remote-friendly contracts, and global job platforms has made it easier than ever to pack up and move. Cities like Lisbon, Chiang Mai, Bali, and Mexico City.
The world changed in 2020, and by 2025, remote work isn't a trend anymore. It's a lifestyle. And for many Australians, it's the perfect ticket out. When the pandemic hit, millions discovered they could do their jobs from home or from anywhere.
Now, with remote work fully embraced by global companies, location is no longer a barrier to opportunity. And here's the twist. Many Australians are asking, if I can work from my laptop, why stay in one of the world's most expensive countries? The rise of digital nomad visas, remote-friendly contracts, and global job platforms has made it easier than ever to pack up and move. Cities like Lisbon, Chiang Mai, Bali, and Mexico City are becoming hubs for Australians who want more value for their money and more life in their work-life balance. In these places, rent is cheaper, food is affordable, and the lifestyle? Slower, sunnier, and less stressful. It's not just about economics either. It's about freedom. No more long commutes, overpriced city apartments, or sky-high living costs. Remote workers are chasing community, culture, and climates that fit their personalities, not just their job descriptions. And with the Australian dollar struggling in some global markets, living abroad can actually mean saving more, spending less, and living better. This shift isn't just for influencers or freelancers anymore. Teachers, marketers, developers, and even corporate consultants are ditching the 9-to-5 grind in Australia and building flexible careers from wherever they choose. The question is no longer, can I work remotely? It's, where do I want to live while I do it? Coming up next, why Australia's rising education costs are pushing students, both local and international, to look elsewhere for opportunity.
Number 8. Education costs and opportunities.
In 2025, getting a degree in Australia has become a costly gamble, and many students are deciding it's not worth the risk. University tuition fees have reached record highs, with some degrees costing up to $50,000 or more, especially for international students. Even local students, who once benefited from more affordable education, are now graduating with crippling help debts that can take decades to repay. But it's not just about the price tag. Many students feel that the quality of education isn't keeping up with the cost. Overcrowded lectures, underpaid tutors, and limited post-study job prospects are making students question the value of their investment. And for international students, who contribute billions to Australia's economy, the experience has changed. Stricter visa rules, limited work rights, and rising living costs have made Australia far less attractive than it once was. Other countries are stepping in to take the lead. Canada offers post-study work visas and a clearer path to permanent residency. Germany and the Netherlands provide world-class education with low or even zero tuition fees. These countries are actively welcoming students, and Australia is falling behind. Even Australian students are looking abroad, choosing to study in Europe, Asia, or North America, where they can get better value, global exposure, and often less debt. The result? A brain drain in slow motion. Talented young minds are going elsewhere to learn, grow, and start their futures, and many don't come back. If the next generation sees more opportunity overseas, what happens to Australia's future workforce? Coming up next, how rising crime and growing social tensions are making some Australians feel unsafe, even in their own neighborhoods.
Number 9. Rising crime and social tensions.
Australia has long been seen as a safe, peaceful country, but in 2025, that image is starting to crack. While it's still far from a war zone, rising crime rates and growing social unrest are making more people feel uneasy, even in their own communities. Cities like Melbourne and Sydney have seen spikes in petty crimes such as break-ins, car thefts, and street assaults. In some suburbs, residents report feeling less safe walking alone at night, even in areas that were once considered calm and secure. But beyond crime statistics, there's a deeper issue: social tension. Whether it's over politics, race, religion, or economic inequality, Australia is becoming more divided. Online platforms are filled with angry debates. Public protests are becoming more frequent. And many Australians, especially migrants, people of color, and LGBTQ+ individuals, say they've experienced rising discrimination in everyday life. This growing divide is creating an atmosphere of stress, fear, and frustration. Some people say they no longer recognize the country they grew up in, that the fair-go spirit is being replaced by suspicion and judgment. And when you mix that with economic pressure, housing stress, and uncertainty about the future, it's no wonder some people are looking for a way out. They're choosing places where they feel more respected, more accepted, and more at peace. Countries with stronger social support, less violence, and communities that feel more connected and united. Because safety isn't just about avoiding crime. It's about feeling secure, seen, and supported where you live. Next up, the final and perhaps most personal reason people are leaving, a deep shift in values and national identity.
Number 10. Changing identity and values. Australia is still a beautiful country, but in 2025, many people are asking, is it still the country I once believed in? For decades, Australia was seen as a land of fairness, opportunity, and freedom. But now there's a growing sense among many that the national identity is shifting, and not for the better. Some feel that the values that once united Australians, equality, mateship, fairness, are slowly being replaced by division, greed, and political games. Trust in government is falling, with scandals, misinformation, and polarizing policies leaving people confused and disillusioned. Others are questioning Australia's place in the world. Is it still progressive, inclusive, forward-thinking, or is it becoming isolated, reactive, and disconnected from the global community? Even cultural identity is in flux. For migrants and second-generation Australians, the rising tone of nationalism and anti-immigration sentiment can feel like a rejection of their contributions and existence. Many say they no longer feel welcome in the only home they've ever known. Young people, in particular, are becoming more global in mindset. They want a future that embraces diversity, innovation, climate action, and human rights. And they're not sure if Australia is moving fast enough. So they're looking elsewhere, not just for better jobs or cheaper rent, but for a place where the culture reflects their values. And that's the most powerful migration driver of all. When you no longer feel aligned with your country's direction, leaving becomes not just a choice, but a necessity. Because in the end, it's not just about where you live, it's about what that place stands for. Up next, let's wrap it all up and talk about what this trend really means and where things might be heading next. Australia's healthcare system was once considered one of the best, but in 2025, the cracks are starting to show. And for many, those cracks are now turning into gaping holes. Public hospitals are overwhelmed. Emergency departments are seeing wait times of up to 12 hours, even for urgent cases. Patients in rural and regional areas are being told to wait months, sometimes over a year, just to see a specialist. And bulk billing? That's becoming harder to find, especially in major cities. It's no longer just an inconvenience, it's a crisis. People with chronic conditions are missing out on timely care. Mental health services are underfunded and overstretched. General practitioners are burning out, retiring early, or refusing to take on new patients due to impossible workloads. What's driving the decline? A mix of underfunding, an aging population, workforce shortages, and growing demand, especially after the pandemic. But while the system struggles to recover, people's trust is disappearing. They're tired of waiting, tired of delays, tired of hearing that things will get better someday. That's why many are looking beyond Australia's borders, not just for treatment, but for entirely new healthcare systems. Countries like Germany, Japan, and even Thailand are becoming attractive for their efficient, affordable, and accessible care. Some Australians are even relocating just to access faster and more reliable medical help, something they once believed was guaranteed at home. It's a tough decision, but when your health, or your family's, is on the line, the choice becomes clear. Is the lucky country still lucky when even basic care feels out of reach? Coming up next, why Australia's job market is no longer working for everyone, especially the skilled professionals it once relied on.